welcome to my home and to my sofa. This is me, Rasa the dancer, and again we have a different subject to talk about today. So just I think a few weeks ago I made a video for the guys of how to read the signals from the girl and to see whether they have actually a chance to ask them out or not. And I promised to the guys that I'm gonna make a video for the girls of how to behave around the guys in the dance scene as well. So I keep my promises, most of them. I'm thinking now, maybe I shouldn't say that. Somebody will comment that, remember the time. Anyway, this video will be for the girls. 5 tips of how to behave in the dance scene and especially around the guys. I hope you can benefit from this. One of the things that the guys bring up to me in the dance scene about the girls is about the fact that they say no to a dance very often. It depends where you are. You come across with people saying no more often than other times to a dance. And it isn't a problem to say no. Any woman has a right to say no to a dance if she feels like it. If she's not in the mood, or if she feels tired, or she just doesn't want to dance, whatever the reason is, she can say no. Now, ladies, the tip number 1 for you is not to say no to a dance, because you have an absolute right to do so. It's about how you say it. I cannot tell you that you have to do what I tell you to do. You're gonna end up doing what you feel is right. But in the end of the day, one thing you have to remember, dancing environment brings a lot of people who are vulnerable, maybe insecure, maybe been through something in their life and they're trying to come out of their comfort zone and go out dancing. For a guy, it takes a lot of courage to have a look at you and think, right, I will do my best and go and ask her to dance. Then he asks you to dance and you say no. That kind of response, whatever your reason is, it's really destructive to the other person. It takes a while to recover and be brave enough again to ask somebody to dance. But if you say, very sorry, not this time, maybe later, maybe even with a smile on your face, I'm so sorry, not right now. He might not feel necessarily better to the no, but he will not leave thinking negative thoughts about you. Now, of course, you would think, well, I don't care what other people think. It's not about that. It's more about the energy of the dance scene. We always try so hard as professionals, and other people try so hard to keep it a positive environment. So it's not so much about who cares what people think. It's more about making sure that the environment is positive. So if you ladies listen to me at all, say no if you have to, but please do it with respect and consideration that it takes a lot of courage to ask you to dance. Tip number 2. Don't know how to start it, but I'll just say it. Ladies, my tip number 2, if you know you are not interested in the guy, please don't lead him on. And you know what I'm talking about. I've been there, I've done it, guilty as charged. But I try not to do it. Sometimes, of course, we want the attention, and even if we're not interested in the guy, we're going through something and it's just nice to be noticed. So we play with that a little bit, but then in the end of the day, we still say no. But it's really inconsiderate for the guys. That is not the only problem. It's not the only problem that it's inconsiderate for the guys to lead a guy on when you have no intention to start anything with him. The other problem is he takes that experience away and he brings it to another woman. That's why I was making the previous video for the girls request, and I was telling the guys that you need to read the signals. You can't just throw yourself at the girls and expect them to want you. Keep that in mind, ladies. If you leading the guy on with no intention to start something, it will have some consequences in the future for other women. If you don't care, well, you don't care. I cannot change that, right? But if you really want a positive environment in the salsa scene or bachata scene, in any dancing scene, then you have to take that in consideration. Tip number 2, don't lead the guys on. Believe it or not, guys suffer sometimes from sexual attention from the girls. And I say this, first of all, because I travel to a lot of congresses and I go to every single salsa bachata night. I've been around, seen it with my own eyes, and after I made a video about the guys start calling me up and saying, hey, but this happens to us too, so I have to bring this up. Tip number 3 for the ladies, please don't assume just because he's a guy, he's interested. Just because he's a guy, that he will want it. Just because he's a guy, he will enjoy the fact that you doing sexual innuendos towards him. It doesn't mean that. There's actually some guys that are not happy to have any woman throw themselves at them. I might be not using really good vocabulary, but I mean it from the best intention. There's nothing wrong as a woman to make a first move, but then you have to go through the same process as a guy. You have to make a conversation first. You have to flirt and see whether he's interested and then slowly progress. You can't just throw your body at him or touch him inappropriately or touch him at all if he did not approve. And you can tell a lot of the times what's the situation, but when you're dancing, just because he's taking you close in a close position, it doesn't mean he wants you. It only means he's having a good dance. So we have to be careful, really. As ladies, we are catching up with all our rights. We are catching up with a lot of different things, but we have to always remember that whatever the percentage is, in the end of the day, guys suffer from a lot of similar things, and for them it's also sometimes hard to speak up. Sometimes it's even shocking, so they don't even know what to do with that information. So please be careful how you act around the guys, because not all of them are maybe interested in what you have to offer. Tip number 4 is a little bit on a lighter note. It's not scolding you. It's more a piece of advice to protect your heart. A lot of the times we come into dance scene and it looks like such a friendly environment. Everybody's smiling, everybody's happy, positive and helpful. And sometimes we might think that the person we're interested, or the guy is definitely interested, and you can develop a serious relationship. But what happens a lot of the time on the dance floor, that you get a connection with the person while dancing, but it does not translate the same outside the dance floor. So many times the music is just right. Your energy in the dancing with your partner connects so well, and you feel like, oh my God, this feels really special. Be careful with that. A lot of the times you take it outside the dance floor and it's just not the same. So protect yourself. Yes, have that wonderful dance, have that connection, but don't immediately assume that it's more than it actually is. If it is, great. There's a lot of actually people who get married through dancing. So I'm not saying is it that love does not exist on the dance floor. It does. It's all around us. But it's not necessarily so. So be careful with your heart. That's my tip number 4. We are at the final tip, tip number 5. And this one, it's an interesting one as well. All of the tips have been a little bit like frustrating for me and scary to verbalize, but hey, I do what I do. Tip number 5, ladies, please don't gossip. And I'm not saying this because all ladies gossip or only ladies gossip, but it is a video for the ladies, hence why I'm addressing the ladies. Okay, so don't attack me on this. But gossip, I don't mean necessarily just like a girly gossip. Sometimes women like to share their opinions about the guys in a dance scene, and they think they do it from the best intention. They think that the sharing information and some sort of bad experience is very useful for another girl to know. Well, that's not necessarily the case. That's when it becomes gossip. Because if you, for example, dated a guy in the dance scene and it didn't work out, and you go to another girl that is about to date that guy and you tell her she's making a huge mistake, this guy is this, that, and that, well, that is gossip. Or if not gossip, it's definitely just your experience. Because unless he did something really bad in a sense that it could harm another woman, which is mental or physical abuse or some sort of severe thing that he might carry through relationships, and it might actually harm a woman physically or mentally. Cheating doesn't count. If he cheated on you, it doesn't mean that he would cheat on her. So be careful of what you're spreading around, because a lot of the times guys might make a mistake with somebody and they would feel really bad about it, but then he cannot approach any other girl because of all this information, and he might really have learned from his mistakes, or it might have just not worked out with you. Do you know what I mean? The other side of this, not taking personal side, let's say there are some guys who you think are inappropriate while dancing. That, I think, is a good idea to tell other girls if you think that guy is potentially dangerous on the dance floor, but I do recommend in that case to always go to the professionals, like me, the teachers, promoters, anybody who's responsible for the night, or anybody who that has an upper hand. Does that make sense? Don't just tell all the girls there about those guys, because it doesn't solve the problem. You need to immediately, as soon as you feel that somebody's being inappropriate, come and talk to us. Because then we can resolve the problem. We can find out what's going on. We can hear your story. What was his story? Or, it might be very blunt about it. So we will take care of it. We will not allow any inappropriate behavior on a dance scene. But you have to come to us. Otherwise, you're just talking between each other. And even though it might be helpful to some, it cannot be helpful to all. Make sense? So try to be careful of all the chatting about the guys and your experiences to other women, because it could be really harmful for all the guys in the future. And also, to be honest, when a girl comes to me and tells me, oh, you know this guy, you shouldn't be talking to him because blah, 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 it kind of puts me off a little bit. And not necessarily from the guy, it puts me off the conversation itself. I don't need to know that. I like to make my own opinions, unless he beats women up or does some bad things that I really need to know about to protect myself. Then yes. I hope that tip number 5 was clear enough, and I hope you agree with my point. If not, it's okay. We all have opinions. That is it. All 5 tips for the ladies in the dance scene, surrounded by the guys. I'm a little bit worried about that video. I feel like I'm not sure what kind of comments I'm gonna get. But one thing I can tell you for sure, I speak the truth and I don't mean any disrespect. And there will be other topics I will cover. So if you think I haven't mentioned something, comment it and I will address it appropriately. I'll do my best. But either way, I do like sharing the knowledge. So if you think anybody would benefit from this video, just go ahead and share. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't subscribed yet. And any other social media links that you want to find me on, just go down low. You're going to see my website, my Instagram. Follow me, support me, and I will highly appreciate it. And I will see you on the other videos. Bye for now.